Hi, I'm Rachel Holmes, and welcome to the Rachel Holmes Lifestyle Show. How are you? This is another cracking interview. So get your pens and paper because I'm going to be interviewing Tricia Neilson from Heal Your Hunger. She's got a fantastic online program, and this interview is brilliant. She goes really deep into looking at really your emotional eating and if you're a food addict. And we talk about food addictions, we talk about journaling, we talk about talking it through. It's a really interesting interview, and I know you're going to love Tricia. So here she is.
Hi Tricia, it's great to have you on the show. How are you?
Great, Rachel. Good to be here.
Yeah, brilliant. I always ask my guests the same question at the beginning because I love to know your backstory and how you've evolved and how your business evolved and how you've come to this point in your life, really.
Great. Yeah, everything comes from my personal story. I grew up as a fat girl, so I was overweight and really struggled with my weight. Weight was a huge struggle for me, and I had this roll of fat on my tummy that I couldn't I'd scrunch it up in my hand, and I'd imagine slicing it off, and I wanted to get like a disease where I would I'd get emaciated and not without any effort on my part, or have to join joining the military where I'd have to go through boot camp or something. So these crazy ideas about how to lose weight because, in and of myself, I just was always overeating. And so food was such a highlight for me that, curbing my eating was close to impossible. So it was an obsession for me, and I loved food. I loved all the ooey gooey chewy foods. My main diet was sugar, fat, and starch. Those were my three food groups basically. And so, and basically I was just very obsessed with my food and with weight. And I started in high school to try to curb it, try to do something about it. I did weight loss programs. I call it pills and potions, and exercise programs. I went to 12-step programs. So I did a lot of things. I went to therapy. So I was really searching for a solution, but nothing was working for me. And so basically I was in a lot of despair, and in my early 20s, I ended up meeting a man who was able to finally help me. And so his name's Neilson, and he basically is a spiritual healer, and he helps people with all different kinds of addictions. And mostly food though, mostly people with food and weight issues. And he was able to help me by, really helping me understand that my problem had nothing to do with food, it had everything to do with the inside emotions. And so I was using food to cover up emotions and to deal with life and stress and things that I didn't know how to deal with. Food was my go-to all the time. So that's basically how my life started to change. And he really transformed my life. He helped me develop a spiritual toolkit where I was able to get centered each day. I started meditating. So a lot of inward spiritual tools that really helped me feel more focused, feel more centered, and really begin to like myself, so that I didn't want to hurt myself with food. I didn't want to be, railing against my body, always trying to control my body, basically. And so that's what happened. And that was a lot of years ago. That was close to 30 years ago. And I, at the time, I loved what he did. I loved the work that he did. And I really wanted to help him. So I just sort of hooked my little wagon up to his and followed him wherever he went. And eventually he married me. He couldn't get rid of me, so he just said fine. And we've been doing this work together for literally close to 30 years and helping people. And we specialize in helping people who have struggled for many years and haven't been able to crack the code. And that's what he does, is he helps people almost immediately their compulsions and obsession with food is removed. And so it's really powerful. And then Heal Your Hunger came about because his is it's a 28-day program, and it's very deep dive, emotionally intensive. And that's not necessarily what people are looking for right off the bat. So with Heal Your Hunger, I really take everything I've learned from him and I bring it out to the world via online programs, via my podcast. I'm writing a book right now. So basically, it's just a way to have more people be able to access this. He has a book as well. It's just a matter of being able to access the information and get more direct really information and our, with Heal Your Hunger, my main thing is changing people's heads about the problem, because it's so tempting to focus on food and weight. How do I get this tummy away from me? How do I control food? And it's all about control, all about fighting. And I really want to change people's minds about that and help them realize it has nothing to do with food and weight. It's really the inside stuff. Where am I ill at ease? Where am I afraid, guilty, in pain, some kind of emotional pain, that I'm using food as that painkiller, and really starting to really shift the conversation.
Gosh, that's a big one, a big topic, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I work with so many women, and that's the first thing so many women will say is, oh, I'm addicted to food, I'm addicted to sugar, I'm addicted to coffee, I'm addicted to, and it just seems that people say this, it very easily and very very flippantly, without possibly really realizing, the depth of what they're saying. So if someone does think that they're addicted to food, gosh, Tricia, where do you start? What's the first baseline that you deal with? What do you start with first?
Well, I really think it's really important. Nobody's going to want to hear this, but it's really important to slow down, because when we move so fast, we end up being very disconnected from ourselves and from our emotions. And, the best thing we can do is start to slow down and catch up to ourselves. Mm-hmm. When we're moving fast, we're eating fast, we're eating fast food. We're just not making the healthiest choices. Stress is the number one cause of emotional eating. And so we have to address our stress, and it's, as emotional eaters, we love to be busy. We love to get, our, validation from how busy we are, how much we do, how accomplished we are. We love those pats on the back. So we have to be willing to sacrifice some of that, outward accolades to the inward real gold of being quieter. Meditation is an important practice. So just sort of reorienting ourselves to life, just trying to control the food is virtually impossible in my experience. I'm really powerless over what I eat. And so I have to go deeper and look at my stress, make choices, learn how to say no and put limits on my time. So there's a lot of life stuff that I recommend to people, like making real changes in their lives, which completely and directly affect how they eat. It's just, to the naked eye, it doesn't seem like one has anything to do with the other, but it has everything to do with the other.
Wow, that's very powerful as well. So is it a kind of a talk therapy that you start with, or is it getting the clients to just, reevaluate where they are at that point in time? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. I think what's really important is that people, there's definitely things people can do. I have something called 3-meal magic, which helps people start to just eat 3 meals a day and nothing in between, which is just a tool. It's not a solution. What it does is enables somebody to have space in between their meals so that they can start to recognize their emotions. It's all about getting in touch with one's emotions and realizing, getting more conscious of who they are. So that can be a really important thing. It's really important that people start to, I feel like a writing practice is really important. So, the work I do with Roy and the intensive work we do in our 28-day program, we have people do a lot of writing, and a lot of unloading of emotions, a lot of examination of things that have been buried. And when people feel safe, they're able to do it. The reason why we run so hard and fast is because we're afraid to look within.
Yeah.
We're afraid to stop and look. It's easy to say, oh, just slow down, but it's not so easy when we feel like, if we slow down and look within, we're going to see monsters that we've been running from for a long time. The monsters aren't nearly as big and bad and scary as we make them out to be. and the more we avoid them, the bigger they seem to get.
Yeah.
But the truth is, when we feel safe enough and loved enough, we're able to look at them, and then they dissipate. It's so crazy. People always think, I can't possibly face what's inside, or it will overtake me. And just the opposite is true. Like, if I stop and look, they disappear. They're really like boogeymen. I mean, they absolutely disappear. And so it's just a matter of helping people feel safe. And we do that through sharing our own experience, because there's something about somebody having done this work and having felt the pain of, a lot of us had trauma, sexual abuse, different things in our past. I've had that. And so having gone through it myself, we're able to make people feel safer to look at these things. They're not the only ones. It's not going to kill them. And there's a way actually to get through it. I mean, I spent lots of years in therapy talking about stuff, but it didn't really move. This method has a lot to do with just like facing it and having it really dissipate as soon as one does.
Wow. I've spoken to a lot of experts such as yourself over the last couple of weeks, and journaling and writing's come up so many times. So many people say it's the cheapest therapy, and just write. Have you any tips for anybody that could start journaling or writing, or where would they start with that kind of practice?
Well, I think doing it at a time when one is more vulnerable, like the first thing in the morning or last thing at night, when you're quieter. Sometimes a lot of people like to do sort of like subconscious writing the first thing in the morning because their defenses aren't up yet. I tend to write towards the end of the day, just so I don't go to bed with things, but whatever time where you feel safe and where things are quiet and undistracted, I think is super good. And I pray. I like to pray before I write, just so to kind of connect with spirit, because I need the support. I mean, again, people are afraid to see things, and writing is magical because it really does unlock our subconscious. But people are a little afraid of that. So if I pray and sort of ask spirit to come in, and God, spirit, whatever you call it, to come in and sort of be with me as through that process, it just feels easier.
I love that. That's a great tip. Thank you. And so, lots of women watching this video will be going, Rachel, Tricia, I'm too busy. I can't stop. I just want the diet sheet. Give me the diet sheet. Give me the exercise program. That's all I've got time for. We're all living this just incredibly fast-paced life. Children, families, jobs, fitness, gym, shopping, blah, 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 blah. And on it goes. Where does anyone make space? I think perhaps when something goes wrong, when people get a health niggle, that is sometimes a bit of I need to stop and have a think. But kind of, do you find that with the people that come to your practice, they keep going until something hits them and then they need to stop?
Yeah. I mean, I believe we create things in our lives that cause us to have to stop. I really believe that when we know we need to slow down, but we refuse to, we'll arrange circumstances to make it possible. So I don't want to do that. So I'd rather listen to that voice inside before I get to that point. It's not easy though, but just even if someone were to wake up just maybe a half an hour earlier in the morning, and make that a sacred time, it's before the kids get up or before before we check our emails for sure, just to have that and create maybe a place where you can feel comfortable and safe in your home, like a little sanctuary, and then just have that quiet time. Again, I like to meditate. There's other things that people could do if they're afraid to meditate. That seems too woo-woo. Getting some little books, daily readers that you can read, just to sort of, again, tap into your deeper self, your higher self, your deeper self, whatever it is you want to call it, but really our true selves. The more we can tap into our true selves, the more likely we are to spin. We're always spinning and reacting, and we're just in this reaction mode. And that's, we're off center and we're not our best selves at that time. We're saying things we don't mean to say. We're doing things we don't want to do, whether it's around food or other people or relationships, but it's causing fallout. And that's why I always say that food is a symptom, because I overate as a reaction to my feelings, but I created a lot of bad feelings really on account of not being centered. and whole. And so, when we create fallout in our world, then we just want to cover it up. We just want to run and hide. And the food, of course, is one of the best ways to do that in the immediate.
So Heal Your Hunger, how does the program look? Is it you said it's an intensive 20 days, and then what happens? And do people have the tools then to go, and or is there a follow-up? How does it all kind of look?
Well, the Heal Your Hunger is more of, I do more online programs, shorter programs for Heal Your Hunger. It's a little branding confusing. I'm trying to work this out, but it's my husband's deep dive program is called Roy Neilson Healing, and it's roynelsonhealing.com. And it is a 28-day program. And it's really, people come and they work with him one-on-one, and they, it's a deep dive. And so there's a lot of work that they do on a daily basis, a lot of homework, a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking. Roy's this amazing being who can help people get in touch with things they never even knew were inside of them very quickly. And it's not like you're sitting around crying. I mean, there's actually a lot of laughter and fun. It's a crazy kind of lightness about it. Like you're dealing with your deepest traumatic experiences and you're laughing at the same time, because he just lightens it up, and it's not that hard. And again, it's just like, poof, it's gone after that. So yeah, but it's a process of helping people get deeper and realizing the truth about themselves, discarding the garbage. We have a lot of resentment and fear and guilt and shame and hatred, and we've got a lot of ugly, negative stuff inside, and most people are trying to just cover that up with positive affirmations. But our feeling is, that's not going to work. That's like, covering up a garbage heap with a bunch of frosting, white cream frosting. That stuff's gonna, that shit's gonna spoil, so it's really about, digging out that garbage heap. But again, it's not as bad as that sounds. But when you dig that out, you immediately feel lighter. I mean, people overeat because they're like trying to clamp down stuff. Mm-hmm. You clear that stuff out. You can eat light, like eat like salads after you clear out that garbage heap. You're lighter. And you don't crave heavier foods. The reason why I wanted sugar, starch, and fat is because those are heavy, sedating foods. Like, they sedated me. I was comatose after a binge of, flour and sugar. So it's really about, lightening my emotional load so I don't need the heavy, sedating foods.
Gosh, that's lovely. And yourself, you've got a book coming out. What else? How else can anyone find out about the work that you're doing, Tricia?
They can go to healyourhunger.com for sure. And I actually have a free gift for people if they want. This is a very quick tip guide. It's called the three health mistakes smart women make that keep them stressed out, overweight, and unhappy. So it's a whole page of tips and tools, like right off the bat, that somebody can just keep around as a cheat sheet. And you can get that through healyourhunger.com/gift. So I highly recommend that, because that'll give them, kind of the cliff notes of the whole thing.
Can you give us some tips today? Can you share some of those tips with our viewers?
Oh, sure. Just in more practical terms, it's really, I've shared some of them about slowing down, meditation, that kind of thing, writing. But, literally, I always tell people, and you probably do as well, just simple things like don't eat. I was just telling somebody yesterday, don't eat lunch at your desk at work. Like, this is terrible. It's terrible for your digestion. It's terrible for your mindset. Like, get out of the workplace, go sit on a bench outside, or even in your car with some music. Just chill. Give yourself a breather. Don't, we're always trying to plow through things and just like muscle our way through, and the thing is I didn't have the energy for that. So I had to grab energy from food. The reason why I wanted that hot heart, that the sugar and that hot fuel. It was fuel for me. I was fueling myself with that. So if I'm not gonna, if I don't want to eat the candy and the sugar and the carbs, I'm gonna have to fuel myself in a better way. And that is, taking a break from work. But I definitely always tell people, don't eat at at your office space, where you are, take a brisk walk a few times during work, get up and move your body. And it's not even for the exercise of it, although of course that's wonderful, but really for the mental, you know, the mental break that you give yourself is so, so important, you know. And not, I mean, it's really important that people, you know, we're coming up with the holidays, and a lot of people are trying to fight, you know, all the food that's around them. And I always say my biggest secret around holiday time is to get really busy in service to other people. So when I go to a party, I look for ways to help out. You know, I'm immediately saying, hey, what can I do to help? What dishes can I clear? What dishes can I do? I just get super busy because I have like social anxiety. Like, I don't want to be at a party where I don't know anybody. You know, it's kind of uncomfortable. And I don't drink, so I can't like down a few glasses of wine and have it all loosen up. So I like to get really busy and be really helpful. And the host loves you, and you feel purposeful. So it just erases all that mind chatter of, you know, gosh, I'm so awkward. Oh gosh, am I dressed right? And blah, blah, blah. So it just, you know, action is the key. Always getting into action.
I love that. That's really insightful tips there, Tricia. Thank you. So
Yeah.
remind us again where people can go to get the gift. It's Heal Your Hunger.
Heal Your Hunger, which is HEAL, healyourhunger.com/gift. Singular. Yeah.
How can people come and say hello to you on social media? Where are you?
Well, I have a Facebook page, which is Heal Your Hunger, and I have a podcast. I'm just starting a podcast, which is called the Heal Your Hunger Show, and it'll be by video as well as by regular podcast and iTunes. But you can access all that through healyourhunger.com.
Fantastic, great. And we can find you on Twitter?
Yes, my old name is Tricia. My maiden name is Tricia Greaves. That's how I started my Twitter account. So it's Tricia Greaves, GREAVES. But there's also at healyourhunger.com. You can get a you can find my little Twitter icons. But I also have a quiz which might interest people on my website as well, which will help them identify whether they're an emotional eater or a food addict. And I think really important. It's a whole spectrum. You know, you're not one or the other. It's a spectrum. But what I've done is I've created a quiz that'll help people see where they are on that spectrum and how far along they are. You know, food addict being more on the severe end of it, emotional eating being like everybody else. So, because we all emotionally eat, but it's just to what degree, and to what degree has it become a problem. And that free quiz will help people determine that and give them actually a personal score.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it's been lovely to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time today. I really, truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.